Every evening it happens in under 20 minutes. One moment your yard is alive, a cardinal blazing red at the feeder, chickadees darting through the maple, a robin making one last desperate pull at a worm before the light dies. Then, nothing. The feeders are empty. The branches are still. And most people just figure the birds drifted off somewhere nearby, roosting vaguely in trees, doing nothing interesting until morning. That is not what is happening. What your birds are actually doing between dusk and dawn is one of the strangest, most extraordinary things in nature. And it is happening 30 feet from your bedroom window, right now, while you sleep. Tonight, I'm going to walk you through all of it, and stay until the end, because the last thing we cover happens directly overhead on certain nights, and the scale of it will genuinely change how you look at the night sky. Number 1, where your birds actually go when the sun sets. The answer is different for almost every species, and it is almost never where you imagine. Take the northern cardinal. In the hour before sunset, a male cardinal doesn't wander. He moves deliberately to dense vegetation, a holly bush, a thick arborvitae, a tangle of dead vines, usually within a few hundred feet of his daytime territory. He's not choosing that spot for warmth. He's choosing it because dense vegetation is the closest thing to invisibility a cardinal can achieve. A sleeping bird is a defenseless bird. And that bright red feathers? At night, in thick brush, they disappear. Here's the detail that surprises people. He returns to the same roost site every single night for weeks. If you have a thick evergreen hedge in your yard, there's a real chance a cardinal has been sleeping in it every night this winter, and you had absolutely no idea. Now, chickadees are a completely different story. On cold nights, black-capped chickadees enter something called regulated hypothermia. They deliberately drop their body temperature by up to 22 degrees Fahrenheit, below their normal daytime level. Their heart rate plummets. Their metabolism pulls back to the bare minimum. They are not fully asleep. They're closer to a controlled shutdown. Just enough running to survive until morning. Here's why this is remarkable. A chickadee weighs about 11 grams. That's roughly 2 pennies. On a brutal winter night, the energy budget for that tiny animal is so tight that without this physiological trick, it might not survive until sunrise. With it, it does. Night after night, through temperatures that would kill an unprotected animal its size within hours. Number 2, when birds pack together to survive. This one surprises everyone who hears it. The eastern bluebird is one of the most territorial birds in your yard during breeding season. A male will aggressively chase off any rival that gets within range of his nest box. He will fight. He will chase. He does not share. But in winter, that same bluebird will squeeze into a nest box with up to a dozen other bluebirds and sleep pressed against them for warmth. All that aggression completely suspended. The math in winter is simple. Shared body heat equals survival. Researchers have documented nest boxes in the eastern U.S. containing 12, 13, even 15 bluebirds in a single night. Birds that during the day wouldn't share a perch, sleeping in a 6-inch cavity without apparent conflict. Carolina wrens do the same thing. Birds that would defend territory all day long are sometimes found huddled in the same cavity on a cold night. What this means for your yard, those nest boxes you put up aren't just for nesting season. On the coldest nights of winter, those structures are the difference between birds that wake up in your yard tomorrow morning and birds that don't. If you're finding this as fascinating as I do, hit subscribe. We do this every week. Take something happening right outside your door and show you what's actually going on beneath the surface. Number 3, how roosting birds keep one eye open. Literally. A sleeping bird isn't fully switched off. It's running in a mode called unihemispheric slow-wave sleep. One hemisphere of the brain sleeps while the other stays awake and alert, and with one eye physically open, scanning for threats. The two hemispheres take turns, so the bird gets full rest over time, but is never completely unconscious the way you are when you sleep. Cornell lab researchers documented this clearly in mallard ducks. Ducks sleeping at the edge of a group kept their outward-facing eye open, watching the perimeter. Ducks in the center, protected by the surrounding birds, slept with both eyes closed. The vigilance was distributed across the whole flock. The group was, in a sense, always awake. Now think about what this means for your yard at midnight. Dark. Still. Apparently empty. But it is full of animals in this half-awake state, hearing everything, ready to move in an instant. The great horned owl calling from the oak at 10 o'clock. Every roosting bird within range is hearing it. An alarm call from a robin flushed by a cat at midnight travels through the yard to sleeping chickadees nearby. The nighttime yard has an entire sensory network running through it, even when it looks completely dead. Number 4, the birds you've never thought of as nocturnal, and what they actually do after dark. Most people think of their yard birds as purely daytime creatures. Nighttime belongs to owls. That's it. But the American robin, that completely unremarkable bird on your lawn every afternoon, pulls a move that almost no one knows about. Robins are the first birds singing before dawn. Most people know that. What almost nobody knows, in urban and suburban areas, robins respond to artificial light at night the same way they respond to natural sunrise. A well-lit yard can trigger a robin to start singing at 1 or 2 in the morning. If you've ever heard birdsong in the middle of the night in a lit neighborhood and wondered what on earth that was, it was almost certainly a robin, not an owl. A robin. Confused by your street light into thinking it was dawn. And then there's the mourning dove. Slow, unhurried, seemingly half asleep on the branch all afternoon. But if a predator approaches in complete darkness, a dove can launch into fast flight instantly. And when it does, that distinctive high-pitched whistle the wings produce, that sound is itself a warning signal. Other doves in the area hear it and know something is out there. Move. Number 5. And this is the one that rewires how you think about the night sky. Twice a year, the airspace above your house fills with birds. Not dozens, not hundreds. On peak migration nights in late April and early May, and again in September and October, the number of birds crossing over a single point in the eastern United States in a single night can reach into the millions. These are your birds, the wood thrush that sings from your trees in summer. It left last October and spent the winter in Central America. Right now, in late April, it is flying north, above your house. Tonight, the ruby-throated hummingbird that will appear at your feeder in May, it crossed the Gulf of Mexico last night, 900 miles, non-stop, navigating by stars and magnetic field, burning fat reserves the equivalent of a human running back-to-back marathons. Cornell Labs' free tool, Birdcast, tracks all of this in real time using weather radar. On a peak migration night, the radar image of the eastern United States shows what looks like a massive weather system sweeping northward. It is not rain. It is not clouds. It is birds. Billions of them. The biological mass is large enough to return radar signals that meteorologists had to learn to distinguish from precipitation. This is happening above your neighborhood, right now. On many nights this spring, the yard goes quiet at dusk, the feeder's empty, the branches go still. But what you're looking at is not absence. It is concealment. The cardinal's in your holly bush. The chickadee is in the woodpecker hole in the oak. Body temperature dropping, metabolism at its minimum. One hemisphere of its brain still watching the dark. And somewhere above your roofline, birds you won't see until May are moving through in their thousands. This has been happening every single night. You've been living right beside it all this time. Now you know what's actually out there. Drop a comment. Have you ever heard birdsong in the middle of the night? Or spotted something moving through your yard after dark that caught you off guard? I read every single one. And if this changed how you see your yard, subscribe. There's a lot more where this came from. See you in the next one. You in the